Eventually, the rise of new powers and technologies further reduced the use of the overland Silk Road. The expansion of maritime trade networks, combined with the political influence of emerging empires, shifted economic activity toward coastal regions. The old routes remained in use locally, but their international importance slowly faded. By the early modern period, the Silk Road existed more as a memory of earlier times than as an active trade system. Despite its decline, the legacy of the Silk Road continues to influence the world today. Many modern cultural traditions, artistic styles, and food ingredients have origins connected to these ancient exchanges. Ideas about philosophy, religion, and science traveled slow but steady across continents, leaving lasting marks on global history. The Silk Road also helped establish early patterns of international trade, laying foundations for future economic networks. Even though the routes themselves are no longer active in the way they once were, their impact remains visible in the connections between nations and cultures. In the end, the Silk Road stands as one of the longest-lasting examples of how human societies interact over great distances. Its history is defined not by dramatic battles or sudden changes, but by slow, steady movement and centuries of quiet exchange. Through its deserts, mountains, and plains, the Silk Road shaped the development of civilizations, leaving a legacy that continues to echo through time.
One of the most significant features of the Silk Road was the exchange of ideas and beliefs. Religions such as Buddhism, Islam, Christianity, Zoroastrianism, and Manichaeanism moved gradually across the routes. Monks, scholars, and teachers traveled from region to region, sharing their beliefs with new communities. Buddhist monasteries, for example, became important centers of learning along the eastern and central parts of the route. These quiet places offered rest and reflection for travelers, while also serving as hubs of cultural exchange. The slow spread of these ideas helped shape the identities of many societies over long periods of time. As centuries passed, the importance of the Silk Road began to decline. The development of sea routes created faster and more efficient paths for long-distance trade. Ships could carry larger quantities of goods and travel without the geographical obstacles that made overland travel difficult. Additionally, political instability in Central Asia and the collapse of key empires disrupted the security of the traditional routes. Diseases such as the plague also spread along these paths, contributing to periods of reduced activity. The decline was gradual, marked by small changes in trade patterns rather than a single dramatic event.
Life on the Silk Road itself was slow and routine. Merchants typically traveled in caravans for safety, often accompanied by camels or other pack animals. The journey could take months or even years, depending on the distance. Along the route were small resting places known as caravanserais. These locations offered basic shelter, water, and a place to sleep, but conditions were generally simple and quiet. Travelers spent their evenings repairing equipment, preparing food, and resting, before continuing the next day's journey at a steady pace. The rhythm of travel was repetitive, shaped by the rising and setting of the sun. The success of the Silk Road depended heavily on the stability of surrounding empires. Several major states played a role in maintaining order along different sections of the route. The Han Dynasty in China, the Kushan Empire in Central Asia, the Parthian Empire in Persia, and later the Roman Empire in the West each controlled portions of the network. These empires established systems of taxation, provided security through their armies, and built outposts to support travelers. When these empires were strong and stable, trade flourished. When they weakened, trade slowed or shifted to alternative paths.
The early origins of the Silk Road can be traced back to the Han Dynasty in China. During this period, silk became a valuable product that neighboring regions desired. As demand grew, merchants began traveling farther from their homelands, carrying goods through deserts, over mountains, and across open plains. The early routes were simple and unorganized, often depending on local political conditions and the availability of safe passage. Over time, as trade became more frequent, small paths turned into more established connections between towns and regions. As the routes gradually expanded, they reached into Central Asia, Persia, India, and eventually the Mediterranean world. This movement did not occur suddenly. It happened little by little, as merchants, envoys, and travelers continued exploring new territories. Silk remained the most recognizable product transported along these paths, but many other goods traveled as well. Spices, precious stones, metals, glassware, paper, and even plants moved slowly between distant cultures. In addition to physical goods, knowledge also traveled, including ideas about science, mathematics, and governance.
The Silk Road is one of the oldest and most well-known networks of trade routes in human history. Stretching across thousands of miles, it connected East Asia with the Middle East, North Africa, and parts of Europe. Although the name suggests a single road, it was actually a wide system of paths that developed gradually over many centuries. The journey across these routes was long, quiet, and slow, shaped by geography, climate, and the movement of traders.